Greetings. I hope the audio is okay for this video, but what I'd like to do here is advance the discussion, particularly for the moment on FOFO's dilemma, but in general, advance the discussion about regarding the monetary philosophy and the school of thought over at FOFO blogspot, FOFOA. I'd like to hear some analysis from the minds whose opinions and judgments and thoughts I really respect and value, and I listen to them frequently enough. Unfortunately, I don't hear much thorough discussion on this specifically, and I'd like to hear more, and I think it deserves more, for sure. And there are a lot of insinuations to that respect in terms of the Freegold landscape, but only insinuations and never really head on, usually roundabout, which is fine. It shows that, for me at least, it's a evidence that people are thinking independently of each other, yet coming to very similar conclusions. But I think that FOFO has really consolidated the ideas and the observations so well, and so everybody deserves to read it. Otherwise, I can't say that you've fully investigated or explored all of the options or possibilities or ways of viewing things. So, Silver Futurist, I've learned so much. I continue to learn, and I hope to go on learning. So thank you so much, and thanks to everybody. Names I'll mention, but names I won't as well, but there are just so many. I say Silver Futurist because you're the one who turned me towards FOFO a few years ago, and I've been reading ever since, and I really haven't read close to the full extent of the available material there. For example, the Gold Trail and all that. I've really stuck to FOFO, and through FOFO you get a lot of FOA and others, but I think, even Peter Schiff, totally, if you haven't read that article that was written on your behalf, what are you waiting for, right? Same goes to everybody. And in terms of insinuations, I get it from everywhere, whether it's people reporting information or whether it's people themselves, like a Jim Grant. In many interviews I hear these ideas, and recently I read a piece by Julian W.D. Phillips, and recently even Jim Comiskey was talking about central banks admitting the reserve value of gold in terms of its reserve nature. So I'd love to hear from a guy like James Turk, who seems to be in the hard money camp, the converged monetary triangle, same medium of exchange and store of value, which is the essence of FOFO's dilemma in terms of the dilemma itself, and others. Please, Mike Maloney, Christian Garcia, you want to share some thoughts? And just to go back to Silver Futurist, recently, because through you again, there was a nice article you shared about intergenerational wealth. And the idea that I recognized from that was toward the end, and it was about ownership. And in this Freegold idea, this parallel money idea, unambiguous ownership is key, is huge. So FOFO's dilemma. This is when the same medium is used as medium of exchange and store of value. It inevitably leads to conflict between the debtors and the savers. And this holds true for both fiat and gold. The solution to this dilemma is Freegold, which I like to pretty much think of as a parallel monies, And apparently this also resolves Triffin's dilemma. So what are your thoughts on that? Monetary philosophy and economic philosophy really interests me, and I continue to learn a lot from so many minds. Focal point reserve asset, focal point store of value, right? On the other end of that, perhaps, the idea of credibility inflation. In terms of structures or architectures, we look at the ECB, European Central Bank, and line item 1, balance side, balance sheet assets side of the balance sheet, gold, marked to market quarterly. How significant is that? Right there, that's a standard. When we look at definition of standard, and I think that's the standard where we're going, and it'll be very telling what the BRICS do in terms of their bank that they're going to build. And I don't know, it sounded like, who knows what they're going to do, but in that sense, what they do with gold will be very telling. I say it's going on the asset side of the balance sheet as a reserve, marked to market. And I won't be surprised if it's on the first line. Bernanke even said that gold is a reserve asset in that money conversation with Ron Paul. Personally, I don't really like the word money when we're philosophizing about economy and money, monetary philosophy. Money is a very blanket term. Oh, moneyness, great one. And Studebaker effect. These are the insights and the history. FOFO's got some great history over there. Does fiat really produce an endless sea of wars? What are your thoughts? Parallel monies, right? The solution to Freegold has the fiats, the liquidity on the easy side, the infinite quantity side, infinite volume, and it has the store of value on the other. The store of value, well, compared to the liquidity, the store of value is infinite in value, not volume. This allows the producers, savers. Very interesting. I just read tonight, thanks to somebody who sent it. Oh, and you know what? This is brilliant. How everybody, I wouldn't know. I would be so less enriched of information were it not for all these people who just love to share. We love to share information. It's beautiful. Okay, but that's just a little tangent that just popped in my mind. So the producers, savers, the giants, and this is funny because that's a word I read a lot at FOFO, and Jim Sinclair used that word regarding China. But anyhow, and this idea of meritocracy arises through Freegold. But the ambiguity of ownership is key, and that also works in towards this idea of lending and or virtual supply creation through claims on physical in any form. That brings us to being backed, or standards, because I hear this a lot too through commentators, people like who always talk about the goings on and all the otherness. So when I think of backed, I think of or standard, you think of the backed where it's actually fully convertible on demand to anybody, 1-to-1 type thing, you know, whatever ratio, fixed ratio. It doesn't have to be 1-to-1 in numbers, but there's a fixed ratio, and then there's that version where it's for everybody, and then there was and we've seen it in history, and the version where not for everybody, only large settlements. And that's another big insinuation that's starting to really creep to the forefront. It's been for about a year, perhaps. I don't know, maybe my time is whatever, but this idea of settlements, large scale, right? And all this fair analogy, there's great fair analogy economic philosophy, monetary philosophy. Check it out, go through, read, for sure. And it's interesting too that these mentions of credit being fundamental to any living economy. Credit is really a base exchange for settlements later to be made in whatever, or at the time made in, but usually credit involves time and future settlement. And it's very fundamental from barter onward. That's pretty interesting. Anyhow, this is going to end up pretty much soon now. Just to go along with the parallel monies idea is a change from the monetary triangle, where you have the unit of account, store, value, and medium of exchange, and that becomes a monetary quadrangle with the unit of account, medium of exchange, unit of account, store of value parallel to each other and not conflicting. What are your thoughts? Is that where we're going? Reference point gold? Robert Zellick? So, be well. It's a superorganism thing. Superorganism. Life on the ant farm. Alright. Let's hope for the best here. Bye.